afternoon, everyone. My name is Regence Norwoods. I'm a Senior Certification Officer here with the Department of Procurement Services. I'm also a licensed CPA with over 20 years experience in the accounting and auditing industry. Welcome to the How to Become Certified workshop. This workshop you'll learn what documents are needed during the certification process and how to avoid the most common mistakes in the certification process. So again, please wait for your questions till the end and somebody will come around with a microphone. I'll actually also have another certification officer come in case we have overwhelming amounts of questions to get you guys out of here in time. So who we are. Sorry, this is not working. Do you have the clicker? Millie, do you have the clicker? Sorry, we have to wait for the clicker. How's everyone doing today? Good, thanks for coming out. I know it's cold, so. We're in the first page. So who we are, we're the Department of Procurement Services. So we are the contracting authority for the City of Chicago. We work together as a team and with our customers to guarantee an open, fair, and timely process for establishing, communicating, and enforcing superior business practices. DPS is committed to providing information, resources, and tools to assist you in your efforts to compete for City of Chicago contracting opportunities. We accept and review new applications for certification, annual no-change affidavits, and recertification applications every 5 years. So basically, we accept the new applications. If you're approved annually, you do a no-change affidavit. Every 5 years, you go through a recertification application process, which is another review. It's less than the initial application, but more thorough than the annual. We ensure contract compliance with negotiated contractual participation goals. We set standards for contract participation for the M and W, as well as DBE and ACDBE. We assist vendors through our websites, and you can see that there's a listed website here, cityofchicago.org/procurement. So you'll hear me say these acronyms over and over again. This is what I mean. For MBE, it's the Minority Business Enterprise. Women Business Enterprise. For WBE. VBE is the new program. It's the Veteran-Owned Business Enterprise. BEPD is the Businesses Owned by People with Disabilities program. And those four are our local programs. So those are required for the City of Chicago or other sister agencies that accept these certifications. The DBE, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the ACDBE is the federal programs. The ACDBE is the Airport Concessions program, and those two are required for the federal contracts. The VBE, which is the Veteran-Owned Business Enterprise, this is new since October, actually, 2017. And this applies to veterans. So a veteran is a person who served in the U.S. Armed Forces and was honorably discharged. For these type of firms, the additional requirement is the DD-214, or 215, which is the discharge papers. If you are a veteran and you don't have those papers, you would contact the Veterans Administration to obtain that. The VBE, so what is a veteran-owned business enterprise? You can see this very long definition, but basically it's a firm that's 51% or more owned by a veteran. and has been certified by the city as a veteran-owned small local business, or the county, or the state, or the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. What are the benefits of certification? Why should you become certified? The main thing is that it provides visibility. So once your firm is certified, you go into a directory which is accessible to the general public. So prime contractors looking for subs that they require MBE or a WBE goal, they would look, and your firm would be listed under its category, because there are certain goals that that require the M and the WBE participation. There's also businesses in the private sector that can seek out your firm for products and services. Other benefits is the target market program that the City of Chicago offers, which provides exclusive bidding to certified minority and women-owned businesses. This allows certified businesses to take 100% of the contract because there are no subcontractor goals associated with the project. So you could actually, if you're certified, go after a contract if it's listed in the target market. Do you qualify? So there are basic eligibility requirements. So for the qualifying groups, you'd have to be an African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, a woman, a veteran, a person with disabilities, or other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. So if you don't fall under that category, but you think that you should, you have to prove it and go through a separate process. Do you qualify? Is your principal business located in one of the 6 counties listed? Cook County, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will? That's for the local program. The ACDBE and the DBE, you can be just anywhere in Illinois. Do you qualify? So is 51% of the firm owned, controlled, and managed by the minority, the woman, or the veteran, or the person with disability, or socially or economically disadvantaged individual? You must be an established business. What does that mean? So for the local program, your gross receipts, the firm's gross receipts must not exceed $38.11 million, average over 3 years for non-construction. Construction firms, it's a little different. We look at the SBA size standards averaged over 5 years. So it's a little less usually than the $38.11 million, and that's average over 5 years. DBEs, so this is actually what we look at here is the lesser of the $23.98 million or the SBA size standard average over 3 years. So the lesser of, so sometimes the SBA might be more than 23.98. So we would use the 23.98, or if it's less, if it's a 15 million size standard, we would compare it to the 15 million. ACDBEs, those are at the airport. Those are very high. It's 56.42 million for most firms. There's some exceptions, but generally it's 56 million. We also look at your personal net worth. So for the M and the W and the BBE, the threshold applies to only construction companies. So if you're not applying for construction codes, we don't really even look at your personal net worth. For construction companies, it's 2.2 million, and it's evaluated annually by the city. It hasn't been updated yet since last year. For the DBE and the ACDBE, this threshold applies to all companies seeking certification, and it's currently 1.3 million. And this is adjusted periodically by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So in the calculation of your personal net worth, we do not, it's listed on there to list your primary residence and the value of your business, but then you take it out. So we don't, like if you have multiple properties, you would list that out, but we wouldn't include the equity in your primary residence. Same with your firm. So the application process, everything's online, so which is very good because it simplifies the application process, and people can, your firms can get certified faster. And this is the website you would go to apply, chicago.mwdbe.com. We encourage everyone to apply online. For the local programs, other than the business owners of people with disabilities, there's a $250 fee. There's a new process to pay the application fee. So you will wait, once you submit your application, you will wait for an email invoice to pay the $250 fee. So once you pay it, then somebody in our office will receive it and then assign it to a certification officer who will review your file, and then they will be in contact with you if they need more information. Be sure in your application to submit everything, all of the supporting documentation. You'll have a list of mandatory documents that you must provide information. We'll talk about it later. Even if it doesn't apply, we need you to upload an explanation why it doesn't apply. I'm a new business. I don't have 3 years of personal tax or business tax returns that would explain why. But you need to upload something. Otherwise, it won't even let you submit your application. The system won't. Okay, so what do we need from you? What's the information that you're going to be providing? This is kind of a summary. There's a checklist online. So we need your contact information. We need that information to always be updated. You can go online if something has changed. You got a new phone number or something, you would be able to change that online, or a new address. Because the email and the phone numbers will be in contact with you. The addresses, you'll receive letters. Not usually. You'll usually receive the email, but you sometimes will receive a certified letter, so we need that all to be updated. So the types of certification you are seeking. So in the application, if you're a minority and you're a woman and you qualify for both programs, you need to apply at the same time. We highly encourage you to apply at the same time. So that way we're not reviewing 2 separate applications. All the information should apply the same. Or if you're an ACDBE and a DBE, you want to apply for both of the federal programs, apply for those together. But you cannot apply for the local program and the federal program. So you can't apply for the MBE and the DBE if you're a minority together. You have to fill out 2 separate applications. Okay? The BEPD, the people with disabilities, that requires a Schedule G form. So we need that as evidence that you're actually a person with disability, and the form can be obtained from the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities. And we talked about the VBE that requires your discharge papers, the DD-214. So we also look at ownership information. So we're verifying that the owner, that the minority or the woman, whoever is applying, has ownership of the firm applying. The employee information, we look at the facility information. Is it in one of those 6 counties? Some people have firms in other states, but they have like a small local office. Where are the majority of your employees? Where's the majority of the business taking place. It has to be in the 6 counties. Financial information, we're looking at that. Licenses, if you need a license to operate the NAICS codes that you're requesting, such as engineering, architectures, accountants, those type of businesses need licenses. Also, with the Department of Buildings, if you're an electrician, you would have to provide all of that during this time, or we'll ask for it later. We also look at your experience. So some of the experience documentation would be your resume. Can you provide the services that you're applying for? List your professional associations, your equipment. You have to provide a listing of your equipment. If you're a trucking company, you'd have to provide, titles of the trucks, and we'll also, we'll talk about that later, but we'll also look at those trucks on site visits. Leases, for contract information, we're looking at, do you have current contracts out there that will help us understand what you're doing, and if you do have that experience. So we're looking at the basic eligibility requirements. Are you in control? Do you have ownership? Are you independent? If there's 2 partners, and one's a minority and one's non, who's really running that firm? We look at your location, the expertise again, and then size. So these are the different types of businesses that qualify. A sole proprietor, typically owned by one person. For those, we usually ask for an assumed name certificate documenting that you are a sole proprietor. There's general partnership. That's where there's 2 or more people in business together. We look for a partnership agreement. Limited partnership. The limited partners are more like stakeholders in a corporation. They're not liable for the debts beyond their own contribution. So we're looking at, again, for the assumed name certification or a certificate of limited partnership. So this is just, how's your company structured? Type of businesses that qualify, continued. So there's corporations, not too many corporations. Actually, the majority is corporations that apply. So it's treated as an entity completely separate from its shareholders. So what we look at is, are you in good standing with the Secretary of State? Is the firm in good standing? Because you must be before anything. We look at your articles of incorporation, the certificate of incorporation, the bylaws, the company copies of stock certificates, the front and the back, and we look for meeting minutes. So if this doesn't apply, it doesn't apply. You would have to state why it doesn't apply if you're a corporation. LLCs, so this is partnerships that have a managing member or partner. We're looking for the operating agreement for that. Suppliers. So suppliers, they have their own separate regulations, well within the general regulations. So the next few slides are going to discuss the suppliers and distributors requirements. So a supplier must be a regular dealer, which is a firm that owns or maintains a store, a warehouse, or other establishment in which materials, supplies, articles, or equipment are bought, kept in stock, and regularly sold or leased to the public in the usual course of business. So if you're a supplier and you're telling us you're a supplier, we're going to go out to your supply house, your warehouse, or your store to make sure you're actually a supplier. For the distributors, same thing. Firms operating as a distributor are identified as having a direct relationship with the manufacturer to distribute its goods and products within a specific territory or region. The goods and or products are not available or sold to the general public. So this is a little different. So if you're a distributor, you're generally not going to have a storefront. But what you should have is a agreement with the manufacturer that you can sell these goods, and these are the specific goods that you're going to sell on their behalf. And those goods cannot be sold to just anybody. Like, they're dealing indirectly with the companies. So why? So brokers are, so a firm acting as a broker is not eligible, which is why it has its own guidelines. They're not eligible for the local program, for the M, the W, the V, and the BEPD programs. A person or entity so what is a broker? They're basically just filling orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third party rather than out of its own inventory, and provides no substantial service other than acting as a conduit between his or her supplier and his or her customer or broker. Again, you can refer back to our guidelines on the differences. So after your application is submitted, it can take approximately 60 to 90 days from the day we receive all documents. So you've submitted your application, you paid your fee, it was assigned to an officer, and not all the information's there. So you're prolonging your review process. If you provide everything in the front, it should get reviewed between 60 to 90 days. They're thoroughly audited. The documentation's thoroughly audited. If the officer needs more information, they're going to do a request for information through the Q&A section, which will go to your email, and then you can upload all of the information that is required automatically through the C2 system is what we called it. And you may receive a site visit again. So it depends if you're it depends on if you're a construction company. All construction companies generally have a site visit. If you're a supplier or distributor, you're going to get a site visit. If you're applying for the federal ACDBE and DBE, you're going to have a site visit. So you might not. And if approved, your certification is valid for 5 years. So we'll talk about that later, but basically we talked about it. You're gonna get certified, and then annually you'll file a no change affidavit online, and then every 5 years you get re-audited to make sure you're still in compliance with the program. There is an expedited, we say expedited, but it's really not. It's abbreviated. This is for outside certifications. If you have a certification with the CMSDC, which is a Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council, or the Women in Business Development Center, the WBDC, this application is now online too, so it requires less documentation than a full application, but the officers are still going to, do their due diligence. They're going to ask for more, they're most likely going to ask for more information. So it's still the same processing time. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but so maintaining certification, all vendors must submit an annual no change affidavit. You must notify the certification and compliance division regarding organizational changes, business name changes, ownership changes within 10 days of the change. So if you sold part of your company, the majority of your company, you need to report that within 10 days. So we call these material changes. Even if you move, like I said, you'll provide a lease agreement for your new office location. And again, once you become certified, you're recertified for 5 years. Okay. I don't know what's going on with this PowerPoint, but expansion of services. Oh, okay. This is if you want to add additional codes for services. So after a year or two, you want to expand your services. You don't need to pay an additional fee. You can apply during the no change affidavit period or in between. We highly recommend during a no change affidavit review. So you'll need to prove that you could do these additional services. We'll ask again for contracts and what your experience is, or if it's required licenses that we need, or additional insurance. Maybe we'll ask for a current resume. So we just need you to prove that you're qualified. Sister agencies. These are, sister agencies are other Chicago agencies that accept the City of Chicago certification. So if you're certified with the city, these agencies, CPS, Cook County, if you're already certified with Cook County, you don't need to apply for the City of Chicago certification. We have reciprocity with Cook County. But that's the only agency. Like if you certified with, I don't know, CPS, we don't accept their certification. So what are the 10 reasons applications are denied and what to avoid? So, so there's unsubstantiated or questionable ownership and control. It's unclear the description of critical functions and who is responsible. The company cannot substantiate where startup funds came from. So, you know, that could be questionable for control and ownership if they, you know, didn't put any money in, but there's this silent investor that's investing all of their money in this firm. You know, that's suspicious. Outside secondary employment takes the majority of the firm's time. So, you know, some people are startup companies and they might still have a job, a full-time job. You know, what's your plan? We'd like to hear about that, and how much time do you spend on that job versus towards your firm. And if the company's not located in one of the 6 county regions for the local program, Cook County, DuPage, Kane, Will, Lake, McHenry. So, you know, I like to tell people, you just be specific, provide more information is better, in my opinion. Be responsive when we ask for information. We usually give you a certain time period. I say respond as quick as possible, or let us know if you need more time, because if you don't, we're going to send you a follow-up request, and it's just going to take longer, and then you just might be denied if we don't get any information. So the point of contact did not respond to requests. So check your email. It's the #1 thing. People are like, I didn't get that request. I don't. Well, is this the right email? Okay, well, you should do that. There's inconsistencies with the applicant firm name among various documents. So we're looking at that. We're looking at bank statements. You know, why are there different names on different documents? Problems with contacts, missing, incomplete, not signed or executed by qualifying owners, or having no corresponding proof of payment. So we're looking if you provided a contract to us. Was it executed? Was it signed by both parties? It needs to be. You know, you're giving us a company invoice, and you have to provide proof that somebody actually paid that invoice. Otherwise, it doesn't tell us anything. We ask for 3 or 5 years of tax returns. Make sure that those tax returns are signed. I know a lot of people submit their tax returns electronically, but we're going to ask for a signature that's telling us you actually submitted those tax returns to the IRS. Where to go for help. If you need help, you can always come in to our office. We're located here on the 8th floor in room 806. You could call us. We have a customer service line where if you press 312-744-4900 option 1, you'll be connected to a certification officer between 8:30 and 4:30, and there's 7 of us, I think. Yeah, there's 7 of us answering the phone, so you can ask us and we can help you if you're having trouble. We also have a consultant located in the BACP office in room 800. Her name is Stephanie. This is her phone number. She can help you if you need assistance with your application. But that's it. She's not going to be able to really provide more than that, or your area assist agency. Okay, well with that, that's the process of how to become certified process. Emmett Morrissey, he's a certification officer as well. If you guys have any questions, you can ask now, or wait later.
We'll ask you to please repeat your question because we have people watching.
Okay.
Is there a minimum number of years you have to be in business to apply?
That's not.
So if you're just starting, what do you do about tax returns?
Right, so we'll ask for tax returns. So you would, on your letterhead, on your company letterhead, say I just started my business on this date and I haven't filed any taxes, and then sign it. Sign and date the letter.
Have a question. MBE, WBE, to get certified, you had said that it would be best to do both at the same time. Can you do one and then the other one later, or?
You can.
Is it the same process, same documents, same paperwork?
Yes, it's going to be the same. It's just checking 2 boxes versus 1 box on the application. You'll still need to provide the same information. What would be different, like if you were going to apply now, then?
I was just asking if it would be quicker to get certified as a MBE.
Oh no, it'll be the same.
Same.
We'll do the review
the
same time. It'll be longer if you apply for one and then have to wait and file for an expansion of the other.
Anyone else?
Based on that question, so if you apply for both the MBE and WB, is that $500 or is it still just $250?
It's one fee, $250.
You're just checking off 2 boxes then?
Correct. Or 3. Unless you want to give us $500.
I'm sorry. Is there a difference between the local and the federal?
The fee?
Yeah.
There's
like,
no fee for the federal program,
Oh, okay.
just the local programs.
Okay.
And there's no fee for the BEPD, the people with disabilities either.
Anyone else? One down there.
So if we go through the certification with the Women's Development Center, is it that they just transfer that certification to the city? How does that work? Or
No, they don't transfer. We're not reciprocal, but it goes through an abbreviated application process. So we ask for a little less information than the complete process. So you would actually do a different application, an online application for that, and then submit those required documents.
okay,
But you still go through the same review, and it'll probably still take about the same time. It's just not as much information.
but it doesn't change your. But every other aspect stays the same as far as your ability to bid on contracts and all. So it's just a shorter process, but everything else stays the same, I guess.
Yeah, once you become
Right.
certified.
Right. Okay.
It's the same. You just have 2 different certifications.
Regarding the certification going through the Chicago Minority Development Center and the Women Business Development Center, do they charge a fee additional? Or is
do.
this part of the City of Chicago
No, it's
hub
not part of,
service?
it's not part of city. They charge a higher fee.
Okay.
How much? 350, yeah, they
350.
charge more.
Okay. But regarding all this is something I could do. I don't need to get an outside source to help
Yes,
me.
you
Okay.
can do it yourself, definitely.
One more? Pardon?
In the certification rules, the eligibility criteria, it says that past experiences that verifies demonstrated capability to engage in the business in that area. There's no specific number that's given of years. So how do they determine what's enough experience?
There's not, in business, you mean, to be in business?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we look at your experience because even if you're not in business, if you haven't had the firm for several years, maybe you worked for a firm that gave you that experience, so we would look at that. Did I answer your question?
Well, so there's no specific like number
No,
of
we don't
years or
have-
anything like
You
that?
just have to prove to the certification officer that you have that experience. You know, do you even have contracts too, like past contracts or future contracts that would outline, you know, that scope of service that you're actually applying for?
And also educational background. is helpful as
Educational,
well,
yeah, if you have.
To support your codes that you're applying for. And
Right.
if you have any professional licenses, like if you're an
Exactly.
engineer, an architect, it's all evaluated. And licenses will help support your background and experience as well.
Affiliation, those type of things. Yep.
So if you have either experience or two businesses that are in different areas, let's say one is in healthcare and the other's legal, let's say, how would you, is there any way to combine the two, or you have to apply for two separate certifications?
You have two separate businesses that
Right.
has separate services, different
Right,
services?
right, they're in different,
Yeah, you would have to apply separate. You can't combine two companies under one certification.
okay.
All right. Well, if
One
you
more
have
question.
oh, one more.
Coming from an owner-operator, one man, one truck type of operation, does that matter, or does that have to have a fleet?
No, I mean,
Or
if
it's,
you.
at this moment, it's just me and my truck.
Yeah, there we go. Good.
So-
Yeah, so you would just provide proof that you own the truck or are
Okay.
making payments on it. We'd probably look at your resume. You put a resume
Okay.
together, see your experience. Provide whatever work invoices for the services that you've already provided. We look at that.
Okay.
And a CDL license. if you're like a
CDL
truck.
if you're
I got all that.
if you're interstate driving, you need that other license with the, I forgot the Commerce, the Illinois license. DOT. All right, there you go. All right, well, we're here if you have any other questions. Like I said, you can always also call us. There's 7 of us answering phones upstairs. Okay? Good luck, everyone.